There is always a cost associated with family disputes, but in the Harris household's case, it wasn't money. It was an instance of emotional desertion. When Mendeecees Harris was released from federal prison, the narrative that was shown to millions of people was one of peace, reconciliation, and a blended family. But behind closed doors, a far more detrimental dynamic was developing. Financial inheritance and reality TV contracts are not the primary sources of conflict within the Harris family. It is institutionalized partiality and severe emotional detachment. While they were marginalized, Mendeecees' older biological children saw the children born to Yandy Smith receive unwavering fatherly care, direct mentorship, and access to opportunities that may transform their life. Lil Mendeecees Jr. is now asserting things directly, have revealed this family's structural flaws. This transcends infantile jealousy. Yandy's strategic position in the family hierarchy has exacerbated years of multi-household strife that predated the celebrity and resulted from Mendeecees' prior relationships. The allegations state that access to a parent was tightly controlled, restricted, and exploited. When a parent's presence is seen as a limited resource, the damage is irrevocable. We analyze the internal family history, the documented chronology, and the exact processes of this household's division today. To understand how the Harris household reached this breaking point, you must remove the glitz of television and examine the fundamental structure of the family. The fracture line did not form overnight, nor did it begin when the cameras began to record. Mendeecees Harris's early manhood was fundamentally shaped by Yandy Smith even before it became a permanent part of his life. Mendeecees had children with other women prior to his formal marriage to Yandy. In any multi-household family, maintaining homeostasis requires total objectivity, continuous presence, and active defense of each child's mental health. But early on in the Harris dynamic, that equilibrium was upset. Asim was born to Lil Mendeecees Jr. and Erica DeShazo, were reared in an environment where their father's life was always changing due to court cases, residences, and personal changes. They were born to Samantha Wallace. From the beginning, co-parenting mechanics were fraught with hostility. Instead of building a unified front where all the children felt equally important, the dynamic quickly devolved into a fight for access and power. The biological mothers were constantly at odds over custody arrangements, visiting schedules, and basic support. But as the children grew older, the dispute was no longer exclusive to adults. The disparities in how their father treated, processed, and positioned them began to be internalized by the kids. When Mendeecees began dating Yandy Smith, the relationship didn't get any better. It stiffened. Yandy was more than just a friend. She was a rising star in the entertainment industry thanks to her strong sense of management and unique branding approach. As their romance developed, Mendeecees' whole emphasis shifted to the house they were building together. For a young Lil Mendeecees Jr., this shift was noticeable and significant. Even though they might not always understand the legal nuances or adult politics involved in custody disputes, children have an unwavering sense of emotional remoteness. The audience was being fed the story of a loving extended family overcoming modern obstacles. On the ground, Mendeecees' older biological children had an increasing sense of isolation. They were living in more than just a new house. Their priorities differed greatly from those of their father. The problem wasn't a lack of money or material belongings. It was the stark contrast between simple security, readily available love, and everyday connection. When a father is physically present in one family every day, teaching his younger children, celebrating tiny wins every day, and forging an unbreakable bond while the older children have scheduled visits, there is a psychological split. While he was left to fight for little attention and validation, Lil saw his father as an attentive, caring, and energetic father to Yandy's children. Long-standing hostility was founded on this disparity. The structural flaws in the multi-household setup were made worse by the adult rivalry between Yandy and the moms of the older children. Instead of shielding the children from these areas of friction, the existing system exposed them to them. Lil Mendeecees Jr. was caught in the crossfire of adult power struggles, where visits often felt transactional, and just to see his own father seemed to require navigating a complicated web of stepmother politics and family gatekeeping. By the time Mendeecees faced serious legal problems and a federal prison sentence, these institutional flaws were already deeply embedded. In order to prevent the emotional barrier between him and his older biological children from being an unspoken tension when he returned to the free world, these unresolved issues were merely frozen in place during the time overseas. It would escalate into an inevitable confrontation. When Mendeecees Harris began his federal prison sentence, the family's already unstable dynamic underwent a significant shift. Prison sentences have the ability to either bring a family's divisions to light or cause them to explode. The split accelerated the division within the Harris family by making control, access, and representation major points of contention. During those years in incarceration, Yandy Smith became the primary public face and operational head of the family brand. While Mendeecees was away, she managed the public image, media appearances, and household narrative. Although Mendeecees was seen by the public as a loving wife, tensions were growing behind the scenes with his older biological children. For Lil Mendeecees Jr., reaching out to his father during this period was more difficult than calling or visiting a childhood home. It meant navigating a complex system where communication was monitored, visitation schedules were rigid, and logistical authority was often held by individuals who were already at odds with one another. When a child's access to their incarcerated father is contingent upon stepmother politics and strained co-parenting arrangements, the emotional cost is significant. Lil Mendeecees Jr. felt as was he was a visitor in his own father's life. The children in Yandy's care remained stable, supported, and connected to the core family. When Mendeecees eventually completed his service and came home, a sumptuous family reunion was expected, an opportunity to repair previous wounds and make up lost time. Instead, his reappearance just served to exacerbate the institutional bias and apathy that already existed. Following his release, Mendeecees returned right away to a reputable, well-established family. However, the treatment and division became even more apparent rather than using his independence to rebuild a peaceful foundation with all of his children. He and Yandy went on to give their children direct mentoring, unwavering daily care, and full integration into all major opportunities, brand partnerships, and lifestyle changes that came with the family's platform. Meanwhile, Mendeecees' older biological children had to confront the hard reality of emotional estrangement. The only distinction was no longer who lived in which house. It has to do with who was given priority in reality. Lil Mendeecees Jr. had constant father guidance, daily affirmation, and steady financial and emotional support, all of which Yandy's children did not experience. Felt obliged to see his father's involved parenting from a distance. The fatherly presence that should have come easily to him seemed to be something he had to fight for or plead for. This blatant partiality has a significant psychological impact. When a dad treats his other biological children as secondary duties and spends the most of his time, energy, and care on one branch of his family, it leads to a deep, well-founded resentment. Material items and financial assistance were never the sole problems. It was about the stark differences in genuine concern, friendliness, and approachability. Lil Mendeecees Jr. wasn't merely observing a busy father. He was dealing with a father who could have been supportive, caring, and present, but he chose to devote nearly all of his attention to one aspect of his family. Yandy's influence on this framework was undeniable. As the matriarch of the principal household, her goals naturally aligned with those of her own biological children, but Mendeecees was the cause of the structural disintegration. By allocating his time and resources so unevenly, he strengthened the gap between the main family and the children who were left on the outside looking in. During this period, the conditions for total structural collapse were established, created an explosive atmosphere due to the underlying hurt, years of feeling inferior, and the annoyance of seeing a father pretend to be the ideal family man on camera, while ignoring his oldest son's emotional needs. The peaceful tolerance was about to end, and it was only a matter of time until the truth of this emotional abandonment became apparent. When keeping quiet is no longer an option, each protracted family conflict reaches a boiling point. For a long time, the official narrative presented the Harris dynamic as a blended family that was both cohesive and complex, passing trough normal developmental stages. But Lil Mendeecees Jr.'s raw, uncensored testimony deliberately undermined that public image by exposing the long-standing grievances that had been boiling in the background for over a decade. The charges made by Lil Mendeecees Jr. go much beyond mere family conflict or teenage rebellion. They point to a methodical approach of systematic isolation, emotional manipulation, and deliberate exclusion. At the core of these discoveries is the assertion that Yandy Smith deliberately separated Mendeecees' older children from their father's life and legacy by prioritizing her own house and her own biological children. According to these claims, the manipulation was subtle but relentless. Planning family get-togethers, choosing public images, and strictly controlling access to Mendeecees Harris were all examples of how it manifested. Lil Mendeecees Jr. revealed a reality where his involvement in his father's life often seemed conditional, serving more as a supporting character for popular storylines than as a genuine relationship founded on paternal care. When the cameras were switched off, the warmth disappeared, leaving behind a frigid atmosphere of distance, strict boundaries, and unspoken rules about his place in the family hierarchy. The structural and economic opportunities that Yandy's children had access to further emphasize this disparity. While the younger children received active coaching into commercial endeavors, opportunities for personal branding, and seamless stability for their futures, the older biological offspring of Mendeecees were mostly allowed to follow their own courses. And disturbing reality was revealed by this disparity. Rather than need or biological links, household alignment and commitment to the core brand that Yandy and Mendeecees controlled defined the distribution of family resources, networks, and father support. Mendeecees are essential to this breakdown. Instead of merely portraying him as a hapless bystander, the accusations paint him as a father who allowed his love, loyalty, and attention to be diverted. By giving in to the internal politics of his marriage to Yandy, Mendeecees successfully conveyed to his oldest child that preserving harmony in his current family was more essential than the emotional well-being of his firstborn child. This relinquishment of parental authority led to a deep and lasting sense of betrayal. It proved that the distance was caused by more than just physical separation and prior custody fights. It was a conscious choice every day. The psychological impact of this scenario on Lil Mendeecees Jr. cannot be emphasized enough. Growing up in the shadow of a father who is outwardly praised as a loving family man, while inwardly suffering his absence causes a severe form of cognitive dissonance. The emotional damage caused by seeing your father provide another set of kids the same attention, love, guidance, and safety that you were denied cannot be repaired by money or belated apologies. These startling discoveries have irrevocably altered how the Harris family dynamic is perceived. The baseless allegations and sincere demonstrations of anguish by Lil Mendeecees Jr. serve as a sobering reminder that popularity, television fame, and well-groomed social media perfection often mask deep inner suffering. What was previously kept under wraps out of respect or self-preservation has suddenly been made public. It provides proof of what happens when emotional desertion is ignored for a long time. The reality ultimately breaks the polished facade, leaving a trail of broken trust in its wake. Before we wrap up, it's critical to clarify the goal of today's dissection. This movie was produced solely for public debate, amusement, and commentary. It is not an attack on anyone's character, private life, or real family choices. Furthermore, we do not assert that we are aware of every detail. The claims, statements, and interactions being discussed today are a reflection of statements made in public, ongoing discussions, and unfounded allegations concerning a well-known family. Every family history is complex, and real life rarely fits into simple television narratives or online commentary. Rather than passing judgment, our goal is to explore the broader conversation about family relationships, blended families, and the unique challenges children face when growing up in the spotlight. Now, viewers, we would want to hear from you. What do you think about this situation? Do you think that celebrity and public attention just exacerbate the challenges experienced by blended families? Or do you believe that a parent has an unchanging duty to maintain the same emotional distance and effort regardless of the circumstances? What impact do you think public narratives have on real-world family relationships? Please use the comment section below to express your thoughts, views, and points of view. Let's maintain a civil and constructive dialogue. If you like this in-depth look and would want to see more videos examining media stories, public debate, and current culture, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and enable the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you for watching, and we hope to see you at the next breakdown.